before we get started, I want to just say that anything you hear me or any of the guests on this podcast say is to be considered for educational and entertainment purposes only. I am not a financial advisor. You should do your own research before taking financial decisions. And with that, please enjoy the podcast. All right. So welcome to the TraderDane podcast. I am joined by another guest today, which I'm really happy with. This is a buddy of mine. Welcome to the podcast, Emiel.
Yeah, thanks for having me here.
You're welcome. So Emiel and I have been trading in the Black Shirt Club with Austin Silver and his group. We've been in the coaching program, and that's where we met each other. And since then, we've actually established our own little private Discord where we keep each other accountable. We share our trades. We talk ups and downs and everything during the trading session and also outside of the trading sessions. So I would say, Emiel, we've developed a friendship over the past few months. And I'm really happy to have you on the podcast. So you're based in the Netherlands, and I'm based in Denmark. So we're right next door.
Yeah. If you look at it from an American point of view, that's close to each other.
Exactly. We should hook up at some point and go to a coffee shop in Amsterdam or something like that.
Yeah, that sounds cool. Yeah, let's do that.
Let's do it. So just diving into it, Emiel. This is, I try to angle this podcast very much towards new and upcoming traders like you and me. So could you share a little bit about your background, what parts of your your life brought you towards trading, and what is that makes that click for you?
Yeah, so there's a few things. It basically started a while ago while I was not really happy with the job at that moment. And I started Googling how can I earn money without working, and I think a lot of people have tried to Google it and tried to find the holy grail of not having to work and still earn money. And then there was a few things that you can do according to Google. There's drop shipping. That was the worst part. I thought, no, that's nothing for me. I'm not gonna start like that. And day trading. And at first I was like, well, I'm not sure. Day trading, is it something for me? Back in the days, that was like in 2006, 2007, I played online poker. I also played it profitable, so I had an edge in the market out there. And yeah, to be honest, there's quite some similarities between poker and day trading. They're both probability games. They're both gambling, playing with money, and trying to find an edge to earn some money in there. And then I'm a very technical guy. I'm an engineer. I've been a hydrographic surveyor where I look at charts all day on board of ships. I see charts and data moving. I'm into charts. I'm into data. I just love looking at that, and it all comes together in trading. And the money part, of course, it's fun, but it's become a hobby in the meantime.
Right.
I've been doing it for 1.5, 2 years now, and it's more of a hobby than that I actually do it for the money.
Right.
So that's basically how I got into it.
So there's quite a few similarities between the chart analysis that you're used to doing from your job and into trading.
Yeah, it's all statistical, and that's the similarities. Right now, I'm working with a strategy where there's standard deviation bands of a certain line being used, and then there's the 68% probability lines, and there's the 95%, the two standard deviations, and there are things that I've learned during during college and during my work. It's really a statistical game, and analyzing what you see, what happens in real time, but also in hindsight to analyze what have I done, does it look good, and go step by step, improve yourself a little bit. And those are things that are very similar as well.
That's really interesting. I mean, I come from a science background myself, so it's also very sort of close to the way that I think. Do you come across, I mean, we have limited experience in the space, but do you come across other engineers that are attracted to this? Or because frankly, I don't see a lot of, high education, and I personally, I mean, with a PhD, all that stuff, it's not really those people that you see in trading, is it?
It's an interesting thing. I've just noticed that a few things about that as well. The first one is that you don't have to be smart to be a good trader. That's one
Absolutely.
thing I've noticed. People from any background can get into it, and sometimes it's more a psychological game
Yeah.
that's a challenge than the technical game itself. And the technical game really isn't that difficult. Like the strategy we both got into a few months ago, which Austin Silver from ASFX taught us. It's actually quite simple. There's a line, the VWAP, the volume weighted average price. It's like an average price of all the prices that happened lately, but then weighted with a volume in it. And it's the strategy itself is really simple. The price moves away from the VWAP, it pulls back, and when it touches the VWAP, that's an entry to go long and join the direction of the trend. And basically, that's it. As simple as that.
Yeah.
And you don't need very difficult technical analysis to be a profitable trader. You can, of course, and the strategy I'm diving into at the moment is a bit more advanced,
Yeah.
and it's more difficult as well. It's very technical, but you don't have to do that. It can be so simple, and that's one thing I've noticed. The other thing I've noticed is that there are engineers in this game. There's more technical people around, but they either look at the more difficult strategies, and some of them become good at it, and some don't, or they dive into quantitative trading.
Yeah.
So programming it, trying to look for the mechanical part of it, trying to figure out a system. How can I name a system into a few rules? And if this rule applies and this rule applies and this rule applies, then I will get an entry, have a fixed stop loss, a fixed take profit, and just let the trade run, or have a very simple trailing stop loss. And there are lots of strategies that you can program actually. The engineers are in the programming part of the trading. Most discretionary traders, so the people who just sit behind the charts and try to analyze it real time, and they have some sort of a gut feeling if it's a good setup or not. They're not often the engineer types. Those are a few things I've noticed about this.
But then the interesting thing is, I mean, you've dabbled a little bit and you're also thinking about this algo trading and quants and so on, but
For sure.
but you are actually, you
Mhm.
seem like you're more attracted to the discretionary trading where you are making the decisions, right?
I
Both,
like both, to
maybe.
be
Yeah.
honest.
Okay. Yeah.
At some point, you have to decide where you're putting your energy in.
Yeah.
And at the moment, I've limited time and energy, and I'm trying to focus on one of them. I've tried algos and EAs by buying just an algo that's already there and trying to set it up. It's difficult to get that profitable. I wasn't able to do it. That's
Was
when I
that because of
switched
the
to
algo itself, or because you interfered with it, or what was it?
it's a lot of the times the algo is really good if you know exactly how to use it,
Yeah.
and there's always limitations. People have to use their discretion to use the algo. So at what times are you going to use it? And in what type of volatility are you going to use it, or are you not going to use it? And a simple algo that just always runs, and you don't have to interfere with it. They might exist, but it's very difficult.
Yeah.
Uh,
And that's
and
actually,
and when the thing is, when you program an EA yourself, when you program it yourself, you know exactly what the strategy
yeah.
works like, and you know what works well and what doesn't, and then you know how to use it, and when you have to stop it or keep using it, and that's when I do believe it's really going to work. It's going to be profitable
Yeah.
for sure.
So,
It's difficult, and at the moment I focused on discretionary trading.
so there's two things I want to note there, because one thing is, in order to do that, to program it correctly, right? You actually do, as a
Mhm.
person, you need to have a good understanding of technicals and price action and so on, because you want to you need to know what to program, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And
I'm in another community that we haven't spoken a lot about, and that's Profectus AI. It's an app where you can program EAs without typing code. It's a no-code
Vibe
programming
coding.
thing. You have certain blocks you can just drag and drop, and there's a few settings per block that you
Nice.
can change. And it's a beautiful system. The guy who set it up, he's been a very successful trader.
Okay.
First just trading himself, swing trading, day trading. He did both. He's always in Amsterdam, sitting at the trading desk.
Nice.
But he got tired of having to be there all the time, so he just started programming everything himself. And then he found out programming, it takes a lot of time. He started just programming the no code thing just for himself, and now he's sharing it with others. And he's been very successful at it. He says it's all about numbers. You need a lot of systems. You can test it. You program a strategy in 5 or 10 minutes. He's that quick. You can try it in 10 minutes, set it up, back test it for 5 years of data, 10 years of data.
Yeah.
You see if it works or if it doesn't work. If it doesn't work, throw it away, next system. And he just goes through strategies, and 1 out of every 50 or out of every 100 is very profitable.
Right.
And those are the ones he keeps. And it's really simple as that. They're very simple systems as well.
And I suppose a little bit like discretionary trading, right? There's one thing that works for a sideways market. There's one thing that works for a trending market. So you
Exactly.
regardless of what's happening, you will need to adapt over time. You cannot just have one universal algo that fixes that trades profitably all the time.
Exactly.
Right?
And some works good for stocks, some works good for forex, some work good for indices.
And that's actually what the second point I had before, where so between algos and discretionary trading, the underlying data. So let's say the price action. Now it becomes a little bit nerdy, right? But it's the underlying data is always changing. So you're not looking at a standard normal distribution, right? You're looking at skewed distributions. The data is kind of, it can be double, peaks and so on.
Yeah.
So all of that
sure.
changes all the time, which means you cannot apply the standard assumptions that you would normally do in a statistical analysis. You will need to change over time. And that's also where human experience comes in, right? Pattern recognition. And I've seen this before. That's the discretionary element. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, and it's true and it's not true at the same time. Every little range has its distribution. Like you can see a bell curve where's the most volume being traded. And sometimes it does move to the next level, and then there's a new bell curve being formed, and price jumps from level to level. And every move between those levels is a trend, and when it stays inside the level, there's a range. So yeah, you have to, in my opinion, you have to be a human to recognize that. I also think that with AI, it might be just a matter of time before it will also start to recognize those patterns and those things. But there are always the same patterns returning that you can recognize.
There is an element of repetition.
Yeah, exactly.
Very cool. So
but
getting
we're getting very nerdy right now.
We are getting ready. So let's jump back to sort of the trading system that you're now diving into, because as mentioned, we were both in the BSc, and that's a very simple, they also market it as such, a very simple setup where are you on the right side of this indicator line, or are you are you above it or below it, and you trade according to that. It's pretty much like a moving average, but it has some more information into it. So what are you using now? You mentioned the bell curves and the and it's kind of volume profile, right? So you're using some of that, and then the statistical distribution, just the deviation bands.
Yeah, so it started with the VWAP bounce was one of my most powerful plays in the ASFX method. Price moves away from VWAP, it pulls back, it bounces off the VWAP and goes off, and that's the move that you want to take. Those setups don't they aren't there every day. That most of the days you can find them. Sometimes you can find 2 or 3 setups in a day, but yeah, it's not that often. Sometimes you see a very strong trend and price doesn't even return to VWAP because it's that strong.
Yeah.
And that's when I started thinking I want to be able to catch that move. When there's a strong trending day, still catch something of that move, even if it doesn't come back to VWAP. Or when there's a completely range day, there's this level and there's this level, and price is just ranging in between. There has to be ways to capitalize on that, and there are, and I started looking for that, and that's when I found the VWAP wave system from Chris Drysdale, and I'm not good at it yet. I'll be honest in that.
We're learning. We're
But it's
always learning.
yeah, absolutely. I'm learning it,
Yeah.
and it's what I've seen from results and from others, and especially from Chris Drysdale himself, you can get a very high win rate. You can get 10, 20 setups a day, and there's so many opportunities to make money with that system, and that's what I love about it. The system is based on you first have to determine, is price in balance or is it out of balance? So out of balance means a trend. That's always important to see. And if there's a trend, there's 2 setups. The VWAP bounce is still a part of the system, and there's the price discovery continuation. Yeah, there's it takes bands outside the VWAPs, the standard deviation bands, so where 68% of all volume is being traded around VWAP. And when the price gets outside the bands, the system says price is in discovery. So it's in a trend, it's outside the bands, and it's going to look for the new distribution to start another range. And every time price moves away from the band, it pulls back, hits the band, and that's an entry for price discovery continuation. And at the same time, when price is inside those 2 bands and the VWAP slope is almost flat and it ranges around VWAP, it's inside those 2 bands, and it's just like a wave going from band to band. You can just fade value area extremes, and then the band is a value area extreme. If it touches the band on the top, you go short. If it touches the band on the lower side, you go long, and those are the setups. And then there's one more setup, and that's the return to value. That's when price is first outside of value, outside of the bands, and it returns back to the bands. That's also a setup as well. So that way that you can always find some setup. You get better at recognizing market conditions, and there's the tools that help with that.
And that I can only imagine that must require a lot of discretion, right? So when to enter, where's your stop loss, and things like that. Also, when you're in price discovery, where is your target?
Mm-hmm.
Things like that.
Yeah.
Right? Is that discretionary? Do you use structure? What do you use?
Yeah, it's partially discretionary, but yeah, it's more the fine nuances that are discretionary. The system itself is mechanical. It's just when price is being accepted outside of the bands, and that's what do you call accepted? If there's quite a distance from the band and some time outside of the band, those are criteria for acceptance.
Okay.
That's where the discretion comes in. What do I think is accepted or not? But the entry is very simple. The band itself can be the entry. You can front run it a little bit and enter a little bit early, and then enter a part of the position when it hits the band itself. Stop loss can also be very mechanical. You can look at structure. That's one thing. You can use an ATR, average true range. So that's how volatile the market is at the moment. You can just use that number, and there's people who just like to keep it simple and just take that exact number and use that as a stop loss, and then set a take profit of 1.5 times that number, or 2 times that number. You can make it as mechanical as you want, or as discretionary as you want. And as I've been trading discretionary for a while, I like to continue with that.
Yeah.
And I know a little bit where the stop loss has to go. And if I see price move up and down a lot, I make it a little bit wider. And if I see my price is moving towards profit, and it's almost there, and I see price stalling, that's where I press the button and I exit the trade, even if it doesn't hit my full take profit. And that's the discretionary part that I
Discretion.
love and I
Exactly.
still
Yeah.
use. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
So, and that, I guess, because of that way of trading, you also have a lot of opportunities, as you say, which then
Hmm.
translates, if I'm correct, it translates into you actually don't need that high of an expectancy on your trade because you can take a lot of them, right? So even if your average expectancy is $10 on a trade, if you can take 10 of them in a day, that actually
Yeah,
stacks
still
up, right?
$100.
It's so yeah.
Hmm.
So, and on average, so there will be losers, there will be winners. So that I
Hmm.
guess that also
Yeah.
appeals to you, right? That the scalpy
Yeah,
nature of it.
and that's what makes it possible if you're really successful in this. I've seen the TradeZella stats of others,
Yeah,
where people have a green day through every day of the month,
yeah,
and I'm far from that. And there's also people having losing days, of course.
yeah,
But the real pros in this system, they can win every day, and that's only possible because of the amount of trades. If you have one or two trades a day, you can always have a red day. It happens. It happens to the best of us. But if you have one or two losing trades out of your 10 trades in a day, or even if it's 3 or 4 losing trades, you can still make it up with 5 or 6 other trades. And
that's
that's what's appealing to me. Yeah, for sure.
it's super interesting, and I think the personality element as well, because I'm also, since I came out of the Black Shirt Club, I've also
Hmm.
tweaked, that all the standard setups that we learned. I've
Yeah,
tweaked that with my own strategy. It's different from yours, so I've been using trailing stops and adding,
yeah,
averaging up, adding into positions. But this also seems like this is the way you have tweaked your system and learned from others to add on to what you know, but
yeah.
putting in an element of your personality, because I've gotten to know you now. This also seems very,
Mhm.
very aligned with your personality. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the cool thing about trading.
Yeah,
Like you can all trade the same system, the same setup, and everyone will take other trades and will manage
yeah,
them differently.
yeah,
Everyone will have different results with that. Like
exactly.
I don't know if it was today or it was yesterday, I think, where you guys were showing some trades where you were long and I was you were long for 10 minutes, 15 minutes or something like that. And right in between, when there was one little move down, I went short within the same trade, and we both made money on that. And
Exactly.
that's the cool thing about trading. Everyone can make it their own system, and
Yeah.
that's also what our coaches all teach, like Austin or Evan or Randy. They're all looking at your trades and asking, well, what are your best trades? What is your best time window to trade? What suits you best? And Chris Drysdale even teaches everyone to just the system is the system, but he doesn't want anyone to trade exactly like himself
Right.
because he has all this experience, like all the little discretionary things, and that makes him see things that others don't. And the system can be very simple, but you have to find your own way in it. You can have very quick scalps, like 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, sometimes 2 or 3 minutes. And then you can have trades that take like 2 or 3 hours, all within the same system. And it depends on how you apply it.
Yes, exactly. Personality again,
And
right?
that's the beauty of it. Yeah, yeah,
And
and I'm an adrenaline junkie.
it,
I
and,
like
and
action. I
there it
want to
is.
be see quick results, and it's all in my personality.
And
Like the playing poker, it was the same, and I like extreme sports, mountain biking, rock climbing,
awesome.
windsurfing. I need action, and it's the same with trading. I
But
tried
that's
swing
also,
trading as well, and I was
yeah,
successful in it, but I quit swing trading because I just didn't enjoy it.
too
I didn't like
slow.
doing it. Yeah, 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 exactly. But I was successful in it. I was profitable
Yeah,
already 1 year ago,
yeah.
and but I just didn't like doing it.
But that tells me a lot, Emil, about your motivation, because like you said in the beginning, the the profit, the making money is actually not the primary thing for you. It is the process and the way it affects
Mhm.
your mentality.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah, it definitely does. And of course, there's the bigger picture in the back of my mind.
The
I want more
Lamborghini and the
freedom.
it's
I want more time. I want to do whatever I want. I want a house in nature. I want a new car. I want all of that, and I'm going to accomplish it with trading in the end.
yeah.
And not yet at the moment. I've taken a few little payouts from a few $100s.
But you know
So
what?
it's
A very
payouts. It's
small
a good start.
percentage of people actually do that, right? So you're on the right track.
Yeah, yeah, true.
Actually,
But
diving into
yeah.
that, Emil, what is your outlook for trading when you build on that success and you get more payouts and so on? What does Emil's life look like in a year or 3 years from now?
Well, I hope to have to be able to do whatever I want. I like my job, but I want to be able to say to my boss or uh, or anyone, this is a project I like to do. I'm going to take this project and I'm going to do it. No, that one I don't like it that much. I'm not going to take it. Or like in winter time, I always have less energy in winter. I want to go in hibernation. I just want to say to my boss in November, well, uh, days are getting shorter. I'm gonna quit working for a few months, and I'll see you
I'm
back
gonna
in
trade.
March. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
That's the freedom I want to have, and I love being in nature. I've always dreamed about having a house in the middle of a forest or at the edge of a lake or in the
Mm.
mountains or something, and that's something I really want to accomplish. And a Volkswagen van, the electrical ID bus. I want to have a Volkswagen van and just tour around in Europe, go camping with my daughter and my wife, and have fun and do whatever we want.
At leisure, right? When you want it. It's not like we're in two
Hmm.
months when we have a vacation agreed with my boss. It's now I want it, right? And
Yeah,
the weather's great and all that.
exactly.
So all of that lines.
And you have
I
to
th-
sacrifice the whole year of working and listening to whatever you have to do, and every day getting up early, and then there's finally the light at the end of the tunnel. No, I want that light every day.
exactly the freedom.
Yeah,
That's a lot more
exactly.
exciting than my goals. My primary goal is to become debt free.
Yeah, nice, nice.
We have a lot of debt, right? We all of us walk around
Yeah, mortgage. Yeah,
late 30s, early 40s. We run around with
yeah,
mortgages and car loans and all that, right? That's my primary. Just
yeah,
get rid of all
exactly.
that, and then freedom comes, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Very cool.
it's
Very
also
cool.
part of freedom. It's just a little sub goal of
Yeah.
getting to freedom.
I came across a concept. I'm gonna have to read up on it. It's because I think it's so prevalent nowadays because we're all just fitting into this, the hamster wheel or the grind.
Hmm. Yeah.
Abnormal wealth. Like, how do you create abnormal wealth from a system that basically squeezes you into a box and makes you fit in there, and you just do that every day of your life? How do you break out of that and create abnormal wealth? And for me, day trading has been, I'm not there yet, right? But it has been like the most
Hmm.
obvious key to create something that's abnormal.
Yeah,
Do you
yeah,
understand what I mean?
absolutely. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm getting I'm sounding like a bit like a hippie from the 60s or something, but I really hate the whole system that we're
Yeah,
in. And you can see it everywhere around the world, like politics. It's all starting to fail. There's wars again. There's weird stuff, weird people leading countries, both in the US as in Europe, as anywhere in the world, and you're like, this isn't working anymore. The people want more. The people want more out of their lives than being in these systems. And there's all the systems that we're stuck in. It's time to break free of that and do it all together and
exactly.
make a better world, make a beautiful world again, and enjoy life with
Solve
everyone.
the world situation. I love it. And I think I've just been through that whole thing as well, because we just had general elections in Denmark. And I'm just thinking,
Yeah.
like, it's kind of like I'm very into philosophy as well. So I've been reading Plato
Mhm.
and so on, right? And
Oh,
Plato
nice.
back in antiquity described how democracies end up destroying themselves. And it's just
Yeah.
playing in
Yeah.
front of my eyes right now.
Exactly what's happening. Yeah.
You know,
Exactly. Yeah.
voters get less educated, therefore politicians get less knowledgeable, less educated. Therefore, voters get increasingly less educated, and so it's just an evil spiral.
Yeah.
But let's save that for another episode. I think we
Yeah,
can.
yeah. It's
We've
not about trading. Yeah.
exactly, but somehow it is, right, because we want to create something that's different, that's abnormal, like I
Yeah,
said,
yeah.
right?
And that's
And
it.
it
Yeah.
touches on a lot of things in life. But it's been
Yeah.
an absolute pleasure talking to you, and I think it's a good commitment to say, let's check back in with each other for the podcast at some point in the near future and do a phase 2, because there's much more to talk about.
Yeah, that's cool. We've already done 2 podcasts before, tried to record it, and
Right.
the recording failed.
I had technical
The
issues.
techniques, yeah, it all failed. So it's amazing. The third conversation can be even better than the 2 prior to that, and a new conversation for our next episode. I think it's going to be even better. It's always fun to talk about trading, talk about life with you.
Exactly.
I hope any of our listeners agree with that as well.
I'm sure they do. It's been an absolute pleasure, Emiel. Thank you so much for joining the podcast.
Thanks. The pleasure was mine.